The massive alien ship moved slowly through space toward the third planet from the yellow star. Captain Zektar stood on the bridge, his green scales catching the light from the control panels. His long tail swished nervously behind him as he watched the blue and green world grow larger on the main screen. This was the day the Galactic Federation would finally meet the humans face to face. Beside him, Ambassador Klixva clicked her sharp mandibles together. The insect-like alien had 6 arms and compound eyes that could see in many directions at once. Her black shell gleamed under the ship lights. She had been chosen to speak for the Chitin Empire because she was good with new species. Today would test that skill. The third member of their team floated nearby in a special container filled with gas. Wispthane was an ethereal, a being made of living energy and chemicals. The container allowed the creature to take a basic shape and communicate with solid beings. Wispthane changed colors from blue to purple as emotions shifted through its form. "Begin deep scan of the planet's surface," Zektar ordered his crew. The reptilian captain had led many first contact missions before. He knew the importance of understanding a species before meeting them. Knowledge meant safety for everyone involved. The scan results appeared on multiple screens around the bridge. At first, everything looked normal. Large oceans covered most of the planet. Green land masses showed signs of plant life. The atmosphere contained oxygen and nitrogen in good amounts. Weather patterns seemed stable. It looked like a perfect world for life. Then the scanner found the predators. The first mate, a young Vorthak named Sekulin, stepped back from his station in shock. "Captain, these readings cannot be correct. The scanner shows massive carnivores across the entire planet." Surface. Zektar moved to look at the data himself. His eyes widened as he read the numbers. Creatures with bone-crushing jaw strength roamed the land in packs. Ocean predators the size of small ships hunted in the deep waters. Flying hunters with razor-sharp talons soared through the skies. Most terrifying of all, some of these beasts worked together in organized groups. "This is impossible," whispered Klixva, her voice making small clicking sounds. "How could any intelligent species survive on such a death world? Our own planets have maybe 1 or 2 dangerous animals in remote areas. This planet has hundreds of different predator species everywhere." Wispthane turned bright red with alarm. "The humans must be incredibly strong warriors to live among such monsters. Perhaps they have weapons we cannot imagine. Or maybe they hide underground all the time." Zektar felt his stomach turn cold. The Federation had been excited to meet humanity because their radio signals showed them to be creative and peaceful. Their music and art that leaked into space seemed beautiful and gentle, but now the truth was clear. Humans survived on this nightmare world by being more dangerous than everything else. "Sir," called the communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the planet. It appears to be from the human government." "Put it on screen," Zektar ordered, straightening his uniform. He needed to appear strong and confident. Even though his scales were trying to change color with fear, the screen flickered and showed a human male sitting behind a metal desk. He wore a blue uniform with shiny badges on the chest. His skin was pale pink and his hair was brown and short. Most strange of all, his eyes faced forward like a predator, but his teeth looked small and flat like a plant eater. "Greetings," the human said with a smile that showed those small teeth. "I am Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Corps. We are honored that the Galactic Federation wants to meet with us. Welcome to our solar system." Zektar found his voice after a moment. "Greetings, Commander Morrison. I am Captain Zektar of the Federation vessel Harmony's Edge. We bring peaceful intentions and hope to learn about your people." Jake nodded. "That sounds wonderful, Captain. We have prepared a meeting space at the edge of our solar system. Small space station where we can talk safely. I hope that works for you and your crew." "That would be acceptable," Zektar replied, though inside he felt relief. Meeting away from the death world seemed much safer. "Commander, we must ask about the dangerous creatures our scanners detected on your planet. How do your people stay safe from such massive predators?" Jake looked confused for a moment. Dangerous creatures. Oh, you mean the wildlife? Do not worry about that, Captain. We humans have dealt with that situation for thousands of years. It is not a problem for us anymore. The alien bridge crew exchanged worried looks. The humans spoke about deadly predators like they were a minor inconvenience. What kind of weapons did these humans possess? What kind of warriors had they become to survive in such conditions? We look forward to learning about your methods, Zektar said carefully. Perhaps you could share your defensive technologies with other Federation species. Jake smiled again. Of course. We are always happy to share what we have learned about. Living with nature. I think you will find our approaches very interesting. Some might even seem strange at first. After the transmission ended, the bridge fell silent. Each alien tried to imagine what horrible weapons the humans had created. Energy barriers that kept the monsters away. Orbital bombardment systems that killed predators from space. Personal. Shields that protected individuals from attack. Set course for the meeting point, Zektar ordered. And prepare full defensive systems. If humans can live safely on that world, they must have military power beyond our understanding. The Federation ship began moving toward the outer edge of the human solar system. Behind them, Earth continued to spin peacefully in space. The scanners still showed massive predators moving across its surface. But somehow, the humans lived there without fear. In 3 days, the aliens would learn the truth about humanity. They would discover that humans had not conquered their predators with superior weapons or hiding in bunkers. The reality would be far more shocking than anything their minds could imagine. For now, they could only wonder and worry about meeting the species that call the world full of monsters their home. The journey to the meeting point would give them time to prepare for what they thought would be contact with the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. The space station hung in the darkness between worlds like a silver flower made of metal and glass. Human engineers had built it in just 2 weeks, working around the clock to create a neutral meeting place. The structure had sections designed for different atmospheric needs, allowing both humans and aliens to breathe comfortably during their historic first meeting. Commander Jake Morrison floated through the central chamber, checking the preparations. One final time. His team had arrived 6 hours early to make sure everything was perfect. Dr. Lisa Bennett worked at a portable computer station, reviewing cultural exchange materials. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a neat style, and her green eyes showed excitement about meeting alien scientists. Colonel Ryan Murphy stood near the docking port, his arms crossed over his broad chest. The security chief had insisted on bringing defensive equipment, though Jake hoped they would not need it. Ryan's black hair was cut short in military fashion, and his dark eyes watched everything with careful attention. "The Federation ship is requesting permission to dock," called the station's communication officer. "They will arrive in 10 minutes. Jake straightened his dress uniform and checked his appearance in a mirror. First impressions mattered in diplomacy. He wanted to show that humans were civilized and peaceful. The last thing he needed was for the aliens to think Earth was full of violent barbarians. The docking process took 20 minutes as both sides checked safety systems multiple times. Finally, the airlock opened with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. Jake stepped forward to greet their visitors. Not sure what to expect, Captain Zektar entered first, moving with careful dignity. The reptilian was taller than Jake had expected, nearly 7 feet from head to toe. His green scales had patterns of gold along the edges, and his large yellow eyes studied everything with intelligence. Behind him came Ambassador Klixva, her 6 arms moving in what seemed like nervous gestures. The insect being's compound eyes reflected the station lights like tiny mirrors. The strangest visitor was Wispfane, floating in a mobility suit that allowed the energy being to maintain its shape. The creature currently glowed a soft blue color and seemed to shift like colored smoke inside its container. "Welcome aboard," Jake said, extending his hand in the human greeting gesture. "I am Commander Jake Morrison. These are my colleagues, Dr. Lisa Bennett and Colonel Ryan Murphy." Zektar looked at the offered hand for a moment, then carefully reached out with his own clawed appendage. The handshake was awkward but friendly. Clixva clicked her mandibles in what Jake hoped was a positive sound. Wisp Thane pulsed brighter. For a moment. "We are honored to meet representatives of humanity," Zektar said in careful English. "Your species has achieved much despite the challenges of your world." Jake felt confused by the comment but decided to focus on hospitality. "Please, let us show you to the conference room. We have prepared presentations about Earth and human culture." The group moved through the station corridors to a large chamber with comfortable seating for different body types. Jake had insisted on windows that showed the stars, hoping the view would create a peaceful mood for negotiations. "Before we begin, formal talks," Zektar said. "The Federation would like to understand how your species survived the predator-infested conditions of your homeworld. Our scanners showed hundreds of dangerous species across your planet." Jake exchanged glances with Lisa and Ryan. "Well, I suppose every world has its challenges. Earth does have diverse wildlife, but humans adapted well over thousands of years. We learned to coexist with nature rather than fight against it." The aliens seemed impressed by this answer. Clixva leaned forward in her specially designed chair. "Your warriors must be incredibly skilled to coexist with such creatures. Do you use energy weapons or projectile systems to maintain safe territories?" "Warriors," Lisa repeated slowly. "I think there might be some misunderstanding. Most humans are not warriors. We are farmers, teachers, scientists, artists. We live peacefully alongside the animals of our world." Wisp Thane turned yellow with what appeared to be confusion. "But our scans detected massive carnivores with crushing bite force and pack-hunting behaviors. How do non-warriors survive among such threats?" Ryan stepped forward. "Perhaps it would help to show you images of human cities and daily life. You can see for yourselves how we live." Jake activated the holographic projector in the center of the room. The first images showed New York City with its tall buildings and busy streets. Humans walked everywhere without weapons or armor. Children played in parks. People sat at outdoor cafes eating meals. "Where are the defensive barriers?" Zektar asked. "How do you keep the predators out of your population centers?" "Keep them out," Jake repeated, still not understanding their concern. "Captain, I think you might have the wrong idea about Earth's animals. Most of them avoid human areas naturally. We do not need barriers." The next set of images showed rural areas where humans lived and worked. Farmland stretched across valleys with humans operating machinery. Small towns had houses with open yards and gardens. Everything looked peaceful and safe. "This is impossible," Clixva clicked rapidly. "Our scans clearly showed apex predators across your entire planetary surface." "Where are they in these images?" Lisa smiled and changed to the next set of pictures. "Oh, you probably detected our domestic animals. Let me show you some of Earth's wildlife." The hologram displayed an African savanna with lions resting in the shade. The big cats looked magnificent and dangerous with their powerful bodies and sharp teeth. The aliens moved back in their seats instinctively. "These creatures live on your world?" Wisp Thane asked, turning red with alarm. "Of course," Lisa said cheerfully. "Lions are beautiful animals. This footage was taken at a nature preserve in Kenya. Tourists visit there every year to observe the wildlife." "Tourists," Zektar repeated faintly. "Civilians go near those creatures willingly." "Well, from a safe distance in protected vehicles," Jake explained. "Wildlife viewing is a popular activity on Earth. People love to see animals in their natural habitats." The hologram changed to show underwater scenes with sharks swimming through coral reefs. The sleek predators moved with deadly grace through the blue water. Clixva made a sound like glass breaking. "And these live in your oceans?" she asked. "Sharks are vital to ocean ecosystems," Lisa explained. "They have been around for millions of years. Some people even swim with certain species under controlled conditions." Ryan added more images showing mountain forests with bears and wolves. The powerful animals look dangerous and wild as they move through the trees. These live in our wilderness areas. Hikers and campers encounter them sometimes, but attacks are very rare. The aliens sat in stunned silence as more images flashed. "By tigers in Asian jungles?" crocodiles in river systems, eagles soaring through mountain skies. Each creature looked like it could kill a human easily. Your species shares a planet with all of these predators, Zektar said slowly. And you have no planetary defense systems. No orbital weapon platforms. No underground cities. Why would we need those things? Jake asked. These animals are part of Earth's natural balance. We respect their space and they generally leave. US alone, Wisp Thane was rapidly changing colors from blue to red to yellow. How many humans die from predator attacks each year? Lisa thought for a moment. Actual deaths from wild animal attacks are extremely rare. Maybe a few dozen people worldwide out of 8 billion humans. You are statistically more likely to be struck by lightning. The silence in the room stretched for long minutes as the aliens tried to process this information. They had expected to meet hardened warriors who survived through constant battle. Instead, they found peaceful beings who somehow lived safely among creatures that would terrify entire star systems. Perhaps, Zektar said carefully, you could. Tell us more about how your species developed this remarkable coexistence with such dangerous wildlife. Jake smiled, completely missing the deeper implications of the question. Of course, Captain. Human history with animals is actually quite fascinating. Dr. Bennett specializes in that field. Lisa stepped forward eagerly. I would love to share our research on human-animal relationships. The story goes back thousands of years to when our ancestors first began domesticating wild species. The word domesticating hit the aliens like a physical blow, though the humans did not notice their reaction. Soon they would learn the full truth about humanity's relationship with the predators of Earth. Dr. Lisa Bennett activated the next series of holographic displays with obvious enthusiasm. She had spent years studying the relationship between humans and animals, and rarely got the chance to share her passion with such an interested audience. The aliens leaned forward in their seats, though their body language showed growing confusion rather than simple curiosity. Human civilization developed alongside animal domestication, Lisa began. About 15,000 years ago, our ancestors encountered wild wolves near their settlements. These were dangerous pack hunters, but humans found ways to form partnerships with them. The hologram showed ancient cave paintings depicting early humans and wolf-like creatures working together. The images were simple but clear, humans and wolves hunting side by side, sharing kills, and protecting each other from larger predators. Captain Zektar's scales had begun changing to a pale green color. Dr. Bennett, when you say partnership, do you mean your ancestors negotiated treaties with these wolf creatures? Lisa laughed softly. Not exactly treaties, Captain. More like mutual benefit relationships. Humans provided food and shelter. Wolves provided protection and hunting assistance. Over many generations, the wolves began changing. Changing how? Asked Klixva, her mandibles clicking nervously. The hologram shifted to show the progression from wolves to modern dogs. The images revealed how wolf features had gradually altered over thousands of years. Pointed ears became floppy, long snouts shortened. Aggressive postures became submissive. Uniform gray coats developed into dozens of different colors and patterns. Through selective breeding, humans guided the evolution of wolves into dogs, Lisa explained. We chose which animals could reproduce based on desired traits, friendliness toward humans, obedience to commands, specific working abilities. Wispan was rapidly cycling through colors now, shifting from blue to red to yellow and back again. The energy being seemed unable to maintain stable emotional control. You altered the evolution of predator species. Not just wolves, Lisa continued, completely missing the aliens' growing distress. Humans domesticated wild boars into pigs. Wild aurochs became cattle. Mountain sheep became domestic sheep. We turned dozens of wild species into working partners and companions. The holographic display showed modern farms where humans worked, alongside animals that had once been dangerous wild creatures. Massive bulls pulled plows through fields while humans guided them with simple ropes. Horses carried riders across open landscapes, responding to gentle pressure from human legs and voices. These large creatures allow humans to ride on their backs? Zektar asked, his voice barely a whisper. Horses have been human partners for thousands of years, Jake said proudly. My own family runs a ranch in Colorado where we raise horses and cattle. Would you like to see current footage from Earth? Before the aliens could respond, Jake activated a live video connection to his family ranch. The communication screen flickered to life, showing a sunny pasture where a human woman was leading an enormous black stallion by a simple rope halter. Jake, called the woman, waving at the camera. How is the space meeting going? Very well, Mom, Jake replied. These are our new friends from the Galactic Federation. Mom, could you show them how we work with the horses? The woman smiled and turned to the stallion. Come on, Thunder. Show the space visitors how smart you are. She made a soft clicking sound with her tongue, and the massive animal immediately lowered its head. She placed a metal bit in its mouth and strapped a saddle to its back. The aliens watched in complete silence as the woman climbed onto the horse's back. The predator animal, which could easily crush a human with its hooves or teeth, stood calmly and waited for directions. When the woman pressed her legs against its sides, the horse began walking in smooth circles around the pasture. Thunder was wild when we found him 2 years ago, the woman explained. He was the leader of a Mustang herd in the mountains. Now he is one of our best working horses. Klixva made a sound like breaking glass. That creature could kill the human at any moment. Thunder would never hurt anyone, Jake's mother laughed. He loves people, especially children. My granddaughter rides him every weekend. As if summoned by her words, a small human child ran into view. She could not have been more than 6 years old and barely reached the horse's knee. The child raised her arms toward the massive animal, and the horse carefully lowered its head so she could pet its nose. Hi, Uncle Jake, the little girl called, waving at the camera. Look what Thunder learned. She held up a small ball and threw it across the pasture. The horse immediately trotted after the ball, picked it up gently in its teeth, and brought it back to the child. A predator animal plays games with your young, Wispfane managed to say, now flashing bright red. Thunder is not a predator, the child said matter-of-factly. He eats grass and carrots. The dogs are the predators, but they are nice too. As if hearing their cue, 3 large dogs ran into the camera view. The animals were clearly descended from wolves, with pointed ears and intelligent eyes. But their tails wagged happily and their mouths hung open in what humans recognized as doggy grins. These are our border collies, Jake's mother explained. They help us manage the cattle herd. Watch this. She whistled sharply, and the dogs immediately spread out across the pasture. Another whistle, and they began moving in coordination to gather a group of cattle into a tight group. The aliens observed massive bovine animals being guided by creatures that were obviously modified wolves. The cattle outweighed the dogs by hundreds of pounds, but they moved obediently under the direction of the smaller predators. Most shocking of all, the dogs were following commands from humans. The wolves obey human orders, Zektar said faintly. Dogs, corrected Lisa. And yes, they have been bred for 15,000 years to work with humans. Obedience and loyalty are their strongest traits. Colonel Ryan decided to share some of his own family footage. My daughter has a different kind of dog, he said, activating another video link. The screen showed a suburban backyard where a young girl was playing with what appeared to be a tiny wolf. The animal was small enough to carry in human arms, with fluffy fur and bright eyes. This is Princess, the girl announced to the camera. She is a Pomeranian. She used to be a wolf, but now she fits in my backpack. The child demonstrated by placing the small dog into a colorful bag. The animal's head stuck out of the top, looking perfectly content. You made wolves smaller? Klixva asked in disbelief. Selective breeding can change size, shape, behavior, even color, Lisa explained. Humans have created over 300 different dog breeds from the original wolf stock. Some dogs are larger than their wolf ancestors. Others are small enough to carry like toys. The video connection switched to show Jake's brother working with cattle in a large corral. The man was standing next to a massive bull that could easily gore him with its horns. Instead, the animal stood calmly while the human attached a rope to its nose ring. "That is my brother Pete," Jake said. "He specializes in training young bulls for ranch work. That particular bull was completely wild 6 months ago." "How do you train a creature that large?" asked Zektar. Pete apparently heard the question through the communication link. "Same way humans have always trained animals, sir. Patience, consistency, and respect. You have to understand what motivates each individual animal: food, comfort, social acceptance. Once you figure that out, training becomes much easier." The bull followed Pete around the corral like an enormous pet. When Pete stopped walking, the bull stopped. When Pete turned left, the bull turned left. The man was controlling a creature 10 times his weight using nothing but a rope and voice commands. "The large herbivore accepts human dominance," Wispthane observed, now glowing steady red. "Not dominance," Pete corrected. "Partnership. This bull knows I will provide food, water, medical care, and protection from predators. In return, he helps with ranch work. It is a fair trade that benefits both species." Dr. Bennett added more images to the holographic display. Cats sleeping peacefully in human homes. Chickens laying eggs in human-built nests. Sheep providing wool in exchange for protection and food. Every image showed former wild animals living in harmony with humans. "Your species formed partnerships with dozens of different animals," Klixva said slowly. "Domestication is one of humanity's greatest achievements," Lisa said proudly. "We took wild, dangerous, or difficult species and created relationships that benefited everyone involved. Humans got food, labor, protection, and companionship. Animals got safety, regular meals, medical care, and genetic diversity through controlled breeding." The full scope of what humans had accomplished was finally becoming clear to the alien delegation. This species had not conquered their predator-filled world through superior weapons or defensive technology. They had recruited the predators to join their civilization. Humans had taken wolves and turned them into willing servants. They had convinced massive prey animals to carry riders and pull heavy loads. They had transformed wild creatures into domestic partners through nothing but patience, intelligence, and an apparently supernatural ability to form bonds with other species. "How many species have humans domesticated?" Zektar asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. Lisa consulted her notes. "The exact number." The conference room had fallen into a heavy silence that seemed to press against the walls like a living thing. Captain Zektar stared at the holographic displays showing humans living peacefully alongside creatures that could tear them apart without effort. His reptilian mind struggled to process the implications of what he was witnessing. Ambassador Klixva had stopped clicking her mandibles entirely. The insect being sat motionless in her chair, compound eyes reflecting the light from dozens of different angles. Her 6 arms remained folded against her body in what appeared to be a defensive posture. Wispthane continued cycling through colors at an alarming rate. The energy being had shifted from red to orange to yellow and was now approaching white, which usually indicated complete system overload in their species. Dr. Lisa Bennett noticed the alien's strange behavior but attributed it to cultural differences. "Would you like to see more examples of human-animal partnerships?" she asked cheerfully. "We have footage of working relationships that might surprise you." "No," Zektar said quickly, then caught himself. "That is, perhaps we could learn more about your current methods. How do humans maintain these relationships in modern times?" Jake smiled and activated another communication link. "I can show you our family ranch in real time. My brother Pete should be working with the horses right now." The screen flickered to life, revealing a large corral where a human man was standing next to what appeared to be the most dangerous creature the aliens had yet seen. The horse was enormous, with powerful muscles visible under its dark coat. Its eyes showed the intelligence of a thinking predator, and its hooves looked large enough to crush bones. "Jake," Pete called out, waving his hat at the camera. Perfect timing. I am just starting to work with Midnight here. He is a new stallion we rescued from the wild last month. The aliens watched in growing horror as Pete approached the massive animal with nothing but a rope in his hands. The horse could easily kill the human with a single kick, but instead it lowered its head and allowed Pete to slip a halter over its face. How do you control such a creature? Zektar asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Pete laughed and patted the horse's neck. Control is the wrong word, Captain. I do not control Midnight. We communicate. Horses are social animals that naturally form hierarchies. I just convinced him that I am the lead horse in our herd. You convinced it, Klixva repeated slowly. Sure, Pete said, demonstrating by leading the horse in a circle around the corral. Horses speak with body language. If you know how to position yourself, how to move, when to be firm and when to be gentle, you can have a conversation with them. Midnight here was the alpha stallion of his wild herd. Now he accepts me as his alpha. The horse followed Pete with obvious willingness, stepping carefully to avoid getting too close to the human's feet. When Pete stopped walking, the horse stopped immediately. When Pete raised his hand, the horse backed away. When Pete lowered his hand, the horse moved forward. The creature obeys your gestures, Wispthane observed, now glowing bright white. Not obeys, Pete corrected. Responds. There is a difference. Midnight chooses to work with me because he trusts me. If I broke that trust, our partnership would end immediately. To demonstrate his point, Pete opened the corral gate and stepped back. The horse was now free to run away across the open pasture. Instead, Midnight remained standing next to Pete, occasionally nuzzling the human's shoulder with his massive head. It stays voluntarily, Zektar said faintly. Horses are herd animals, explained a new voice. A woman appeared in the camera view, carrying a bucket of what appeared to be food. They feel safer in groups than alone. Our ranch is Midnight's herd now. Jake introduced the woman as his sister-in-law, Karen Morrison. She approached the massive stallion without any sign of fear, reaching up to scratch behind its ears. The horse leaned into her touch, making soft rumbling sounds of contentment. Midnight was very aggressive when we first found him, Karen explained. He had been fighting with other wild stallions for territory and mates. But underneath all that, aggression was a social animal that wanted to belong somewhere safe. She showed the aliens how she could direct the horse's movement using nothing but changes in her posture and voice tone. When she stood tall and looked directly at the horse, it moved away from her. When she relaxed and looked to the side, it approached her. When she turned her back, the horse followed her like an enormous dog. You have no physical restraints on the creature, Klixva observed. We do not need them, Karen replied. Midnight stays because he wants to stay? He has food, water, medical care, and social companionship here. Why would he leave to return to a life of constant fighting and hunger in the wild? The camera angle shifted to show other horses in nearby pastures. Dozens of the massive animals grazed peacefully while human children played among them. The aliens watched a small girl, no more than 8 years old, walk directly under the belly of a mare to retrieve a fallen ball. The horse carefully lifted its hooves to avoid stepping on the child. Your young interact safely with these creatures? Zektar asked. Horses love children, Pete said. Kids do not try to dominate or control them. They just want to play and be friends. Horses respond well to that kind of honest relationship. Colonel Ryan decided to share more examples of human-animal partnerships. My family works with different types of animals, he said, opening another video connection. My wife trains birds. The new video showed a backyard where a woman was working with several large raptors. The birds had sharp talons and hooked beaks that looked capable of tearing flesh from bone. Most shocking of all, they were not restrained in any way. These are Harris hawks, explained Ryan's wife, Linda. They are natural pack hunters, which makes them excellent partners for humans. She raised her gloved arm, and one of the hawks immediately flew to perch on it. The bird's talons were long enough to pierce human skin, but it gripped carefully to avoid injuring its handler. The flying predator chooses to return to you, Wispthane asked, now cycling rapidly between white and yellow. Of course, Linda sighed. Watch this. She removed the hawk from her arm and pointed toward a distant tree. The bird immediately flew away, disappearing from view completely. The aliens assumed it had escaped, but minutes later it returned carrying a small rabbit in its talons. It hunts for you, Klixva said in disbelief. We hunt together, Linda corrected. I help the hawk find prey by spotting movement from the ground. The hawk makes the actual kill because it is faster and more accurate than I am. Then we share the results. The hawk landed on Linda's arm again and allowed her to take the rabbit. In return, she fed the bird small pieces of meat from a pouch on her belt. The predator accepted the food reward and made soft cooing sounds of satisfaction. This partnership has existed for thousands of years, Linda explained. Humans and raptors working together for mutual benefit. The birds get easier hunting and guaranteed food. Humans get help catching prey and the companionship of magnificent wild creatures. Dr. Bennett added more context to the demonstration. Falconry is one of humanity's oldest partnerships with predator species. We learned to work with birds that could fly faster and see better than any human. In return, we provided them with care, food, and protection from larger predators. Jake decided to show the aliens something even more impressive. My cousin works with marine animals, he said, connecting to another video feed. She runs a dolphin research station in California. The new video showed a coastal facility where humans were swimming in open water with sleek, intelligent-looking creatures. The dolphins were clearly predators, with rows of sharp teeth visible when they opened their mouths. But instead of attacking the humans, they seemed to be playing games. Dolphins are among the most intelligent animals on Earth, explained Jake's cousin Tracy. They have complex social structures, use tools, and can learn to communicate with humans through gesture and sound. The video showed Tracy giving hand signals to a dolphin in the water. The animal responded by performing acrobatic leaps, bringing objects to the surface, and even allowing Tracy to hold on to its dorsal fin for rides through the water. The marine predator plays with you, Zektar said, his scales now completely pale. Dolphins are not just predators, Tracy corrected. They are social beings with emotions, curiosity, and individual personalities. This dolphin's name is Splash, and he has been my research partner for 5 years. He helps me study ocean conditions and marine life. The aliens watched Splash bring Tracy various objects from the ocean floor, shells, pieces of coral, even small fish. The dolphin seemed to understand that Tracy was interested in collecting data about marine ecosystems. It assists with your research, Klixva asked weakly. Splash is curious about everything, Tracy explained. He investigates things I could never reach or find on my own. In return, I provide him with medical care, regular health checkups, and social interaction. We both benefit from the partnership. The full scope of humanity's achievement was now undeniable. They had not simply survived on their dangerous world. They had recruited every type of predator to join their civilization. Land predators, aerial predators, marine predators, all working willingly with humans. How many different types of predators work with humans? Wispfane managed to ask. The journey back to Federation space took 3 standard days, but Captain Zektar felt like he had aged 3 years during that time. The bridge of the Harmony's Edge buzzed with quiet conversations as crew members discussed what they had witnessed at the human space station. Word of humanity's impossible relationship with predators had spread through the ship faster than emergency alerts. Ambassador Klixva remained in her quarters, refusing to see anyone. The insect being had not spoken. Since watching the video of human children playing safely among creatures that could crush them without effort, her compound eyes had gone dark, a sign of severe psychological shock in her species. Wispfane floated in the ship's meditation chamber, cycling through colors at random intervals. The energy being had been unable to maintain stable emotional control since learning that humans had turned wolves into willing servants. The concept violated everything the ethereals understood about predator-prey relationships. "Sir," called the communications officer. We are receiving a priority message from Federation Command. They want an immediate report on first contact with humanity. Zektar sighed and moved to his command chair. Put Admiral Threxkan on the main screen. The holographic display showed a massive Vorthak with deep blue scales and ancient scars across his face. Admiral Threxkan commanded the entire Federation Defense Fleet and had personally overseen first contact with dozens of species. His yellow eyes showed the wisdom of someone who had seen everything the galaxy could offer. Captain Zektar, the Admiral rumbled. I trust your mission was successful. The initial report suggested humans would make excellent Federation members, peaceful, creative, technologically capable. Admiral, Zektar began carefully, I must revise our assessment of humanity. They are not what we expected. Threxkan's eyes narrowed. Explain. The humans do not fight their predators, sir. They recruit them. The Admiral's scarred face showed confusion. Recruit them for what purpose? For everything, sir. Humans have convinced apex predators to work as laborers. Companions, guards, hunters, researchers, and even entertainers. They have been doing this for thousands of years. Threxkan leaned forward in his chair. Captain, are you suggesting that humans use some form of mind control technology? No, sir, Zektar replied. They use selective breeding, behavioral conditioning, and something they call partnership. The predators serve humans voluntarily in exchange for food, shelter, medical care, and social inclusion. The Admiral sat back, his scales shifting to a darker blue. Show me the evidence. Zektar transmitted the recordings from their meeting with the humans. Admiral Threxkan watched in growing amazement as horses carried human riders, dogs herded, cattle on command, and birds of prey hunted cooperatively with their human partners. This is impossible, Threxkan whispered. No species forms voluntary partnerships with their natural predators. Humans do not consider them predators anymore, sir. They call them domestic animals, working partners, and family members. The predators appear to accept this relationship willingly. The Admiral studied the footage of human children playing safely among creatures that could kill them instantly. How many predator species have they recruited? Dozens, sir. Perhaps hundreds if you count subspecies and regional variations. Humans have formed partnerships with land predators, aerial predators, marine predators, and even some reptilian species. Admiral. Threxkan closed his eyes and sat quietly for several minutes. When he opened them again, his expression had changed completely. Captain, you will submit a complete report to Federation Command immediately. Classification level maximum security. No details of this discovery are to be shared outside command staff. Understood, sir. What are our recommendations regarding human membership in the Federation? That decision is above my authority level, Captain. The Council will need to debate this matter extensively. The transmission ended, leaving Zektar alone with his thoughts. He had expected to return home with a simple first contact report. Instead, he carried information that would fundamentally change how the galaxy viewed one species' place in the natural order. 2 weeks later, the Federation Council convened an emergency session on the capital world of Nexus Prime. Representatives from all member species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall to discuss humanity's application for membership. The debate would go on for days. The evidence is undeniable, declared Councillor Vexthani of the Chiton Empire. Humans have achieved something that should be impossible according to all known biological principles. They have convinced predator species to abandon their hunting instincts and serve as willing partners. High Minister Glaumiren of the Ethereal. Collective pulsed nervous yellow. The implications are terrifying. If humans can domesticate their own predators, what prevents them from domesticating us? That concern may be premature, offered Senator Kroldash of the Vorthak Republic. Humans showed no signs of aggressive intent during first contact. Their demeanor was peaceful and cooperative. Because they do not need aggression, Vexthani clicked sharply. Why fight when you can convince your enemies to serve you willingly? Humans have weaponized friendship itself. The debate continued for hours as representatives struggled to understand what they were dealing with. Never before had the Federation encountered a species that solved conflicts through recruitment rather than conquest or diplomacy. Perhaps, suggested Elder Fluxmarin of the Crystalline Dominion, we should consider what advantages this human ability might offer the Federation. They have clearly mastered techniques for peaceful resolution of predator-prey conflicts. Peaceful, Glaumarin flashed red. They turned wolves into lapdogs. They convinced 1,000-pound prey animals to carry riders. This is not peaceful resolution. This is complete transformation of natural order. The final vote came after 3 days of continuous debate. The result was unanimous, though for different reasons than anyone had expected. Humanity would be accepted into the Galactic Federation not because they were peaceful refugees from a dangerous world, but because the alternative was too frightening to consider. If humans can domesticate everything on their planet, Admiral Threxkin explained to the full assembly, we must ensure they see us as friends rather than problems to be solved. 6 months after first contact, Admiral Jake Morrison led humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission. His ship, the Earth vessel Unity, carried carefully selected representatives of human civilization along with examples of their domesticated partners. The mission's first stop was the Zelfian system, where dragon-like creatures had been terrorizing mining colonies for generations. The Zelfian Empire had specifically requested human assistance after hearing rumors about their unique problem-solving methods. Emperor Krathson met the human delegation in his palace throne room, surrounded by heavy energy shields and armed guards. The reptilian ruler had lived in fear of the dragons for his entire reign and desperately hoped the humans could provide a military solution. Admiral Morrison, the Emperor said formally, we are honored by your presence. Our defense forces have prepared detailed tactical reports on the dragon creatures. We hope your advanced weapons technology can eliminate this threat. Jake smiled politely. Your Majesty, I think there may be a misunderstanding. We did not bring weapons. We brought specialists in animal behavior and partnership development. The Emperor's golden eyes widened. You intend to negotiate with the dragons? In a manner of speaking, yes. Dr. Helen Price is our lead animal behaviorist. She has extensive experience with large, dangerous species. Dr. Price stepped forward, a calm woman in her 50s with gray hair and steady hands. Your Majesty, before we begin any intervention, we need to study the dragon's natural behavior patterns. Understanding their motivations is the first step toward finding a peaceful solution. Peaceful solution, the Emperor repeated weakly. These creatures breathe fire and have killed thousands of my people. Many Earth predators were equally dangerous before we learned to work with them, Helen replied. Horses killed more humans in accidents than dragons have killed Zelfians. Bears, big cats, and venomous snakes all pose serious threats to early human settlements. Jake activated a holographic display showing horses working peacefully with humans. 6 months ago, our Federation friends had the same concerns about Earth's wildlife. Now they understand that apparent enemies can become valuable partners with the right approach. The Emperor watched footage of massive Earth predators serving as willing human companions. You believe the dragons can be domesticated. Given time and patience, most intelligent species can learn to cooperate, Helen said confidently. Dragons appear to be highly intelligent social creatures. That suggests they can form partnerships under the right conditions. 3 months later, Emperor Krathson stood on his palace balcony watching something his ancestors would have considered impossible. A young dragon circled the capital city in a graceful flight pattern, responding to signals from a human rider. On its back, Dr. Price had been correct about dragon intelligence and social nature. The creatures were not mindless monsters, but complex beings seeking territory, resources, and social acceptance. Once humans offered them guaranteed food, medical care, and respected status within Zelfian society, the dragons had proven